my darlings, and welcome back to Radio Wasteland. I'm your host, Chauncey Hallworth, and this is my co-host, Sean.
Hello.
Sean, how am I doing this week?
That's a good question, and I do appreciate the overtures into a psychic-themed show here.
Right.
So I'm going to guess terrible, and you're a hotbed of, repressed rage and self-loathing.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. I could be a cold reader.
Yeah. I walk around with this, snarky attitude and, and stuff like that. But, yeah, I'm a miserable human being on the inside.
Yeah, right.
How has your week been?
Oh, great. Yeah.
You're not a miserable human being?
No.
Nothing exciting has happened to you?
I decided I was just gonna, play a joke on you and make this terrible radio and just deliver one-word responses throughout this whole segment to see what happened to your face. That's not true.
Oh.
Okay, but yeah. On the way here, there was actually, I saw a weather balloon or a helicopter or a drone or something, and it just, I was in the car and I was driving, so I saw it for 2 seconds, and it just occurred to me, it is really hard to identify objects in the sky. UFO is kind of the default state of anything you see up in the sky.
Right, from a football to a football-shaped
Right, it was just
machine.
kind of a reminder to me of, wow, yeah, no wonder there are so many UFO sightings, because I don't know what that was. I'm sure it was something totally mundane.
Right, what is unidentified? What is unidentified to one may be identified to another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of orange and blobby, so.
Orange and blobby?
Blobby, yes.
Was it
an orange, shiny ball of something?
Was it screaming?
I do have the ability to identify the sun.
That's funny. No, I haven't had too much going on this week. It seems like the summer is just kind of kicking in with all the plans that summers kick in with, So I have my nephew up in town here staying, which is, really difficult to sit him down in front of the video games and let him play for 8 hours, and then, because we're
seems remarkably easy.
It is.
Am I missing something?
Yeah, no, he's a really easy kid. All he wants is Mario.
Yeah, perfect.
Literally just Mario.
Well, that's not very good. How can he be a well-adjusted individual if he isn't playing other games than Mario?
Totally. Yeah. Totally.
Get him some Legend of Zelda, get him some Resident Evil, I don't know how.
At least he broke off from Nintendo there by the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this weekend I'm going out of town for Father's Day, which, doesn't sound hugely Father's Day relaxing, but...
Do you know what you're doing, or is this kind of we're taking you into the woods, you may or may not be heard from again kind of scenario?
No, I'm going down to visit family in Moraga.
Moraga. Okay.
Yeah. And my brother-in-law, Bong. Yes, that's his name, Bong.
Okay, I'm still with you. I'm doubting the veracity of the story with every word you say.
I'm telling you, Bong is a neuroscientist. He is a doctor.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Bong.
Well, the funny thing is, he's half Korean and half Irish. His last name is Walsh.
Okay. So Dr. Walsh.
Yeah.
Dr. Bong Walsh.
Dr. Bong Walsh, yeah, this is true.
Probably not very mature of me to be making fun of his name, but
I think it's hilarious. It's hilarious, and he knows it,
Well, that's good.
But he's going to cook dinner, and then the next day, we're going into San Francisco, and we're going to a dim sum bar.
Ooh.
And then we're going to go on swan paddle boats on some sort of body of water.
Is it the San Francisco Bay?
I don't know. I'm a little worried about my physical prowess and smoking in a swan paddle boat, It's like I'm just going to be moving my legs as my wife does all the pedaling and just make it look like I'm helping.
Right. It is Father's Day, so that is your right.
Like when you're the middle guy helping move a couch and you're really not doing anything, but it sort of looks like you're doing stuff.
Yeah, I know that very well.
Yeah.
Except I don't have to be the middle person moving the couch, because whenever I help anyone lift anything, I'm really not helping at all.
They're just all like, why don't you sit this one out, Sean?
I'm there. I'm helping. I'm gung-ho. I'm eager. But I'm kind of like a placebo person.
Right.
I give them the confidence they need.
Right.
to carry the entire weight of the object.
The brain is willing, but the body is weak and spongy.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if I'm spongy. I'm more like balsa wood. I don't know if our listeners don't know what I look like, but just imagine like a balsa wood scarecrow,
right?
Basically,
Sean's tensile strength is questionable at best. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I wouldn't even use the term tensile or strength for that matter. Really, I'm a stick figure.
Right. Yeah, you are. You are a stick figure. Well, I am the opposite, so we can be like Laurel and Hardy for Halloween.
Right, exactly. I think that's why our radio show works so well.
Yeah,
even though it's not visual at all.
We could be like Abbott and Costello or something for Halloween.
Exactly.
That would be pretty funny, actually.
That would be funny.
We'd be undead,
Right.
Because I know we're a couple months off, but, we got a few minutes till the commercial, so I'll air my grievance here. I hate sexy Halloween costumes.
Oh, yeah.
Sexy cats, sexy nurses, I'm over it, man.
Right.
You need to go something evil.
Scary.
Something evil, scary, or go home.
Halloween is for letting out your creepy inner predator. But then,
maybe use a different word than predator.
Yeah, and predator was a bad, I don't know, animal? This is hard.
Your creepy inner...
I don't know, the part of the person that goes out at night and just,
Your darkness.
Yes, thank you.
Letting out the darkness.
This was surprisingly difficult to articulate. But yeah, you want to do a scary Halloween costume.
Yeah, the word predator is pretty much a no-go unless you're talking about the movie that's like the only stronghold left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're quite right. I didn't really realize what a thicket I was jumping into.
Yeah, they have the new one coming out.
Yeah, not so great.
To Catch a Predator.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not what it's called.
Accurate, though. It's an accurate description of the plot.
Yeah. No, I think it's To Be Caught by a Predator would be an accurate description.
Well, okay. Presumably they catch the predator in the end.
And the worst
Chris Hansen with a rifle there.
Right. Forget this Predator talk. So we got some guests coming up here after the break. We got girls versus ghosts.
Who will win?
I don't know. It's an all-out brawl. Maybe it's a fist attack, fisticuffs. I have breaking news from Andrea. I don't know what that means. I'll check it during the commercial break. So, we got Girls versus Ghosts. Beth and Charla, they basically have their own radio show on Blog Talk Radio, and they do their own paranormal investigations. And we're going to learn what they have, what they know. And you know what question I'm going to ask? Same question I always ask these paranormal people.
How did this happen to them?
What's the scariest thing that has ever happened to you?
Yes.
All right.
Stay tuned.
You're listening to Radio Wasteland. When we come back, we got Girls versus Ghosts. All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland and our guests, Beth and Charla from Girls versus Ghosts. Girls, we got you on the line there.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, not bad. How are you doing?
Good. Charla?
Oh, this is Charlotte?
Yes.
All right. And so, I got to ask the boring question at the beginning that Sean already called me out on and made fun of that I ask at the beginning of all the things.
It's a good question.
It's a good question, but I want to know how you got started. I'm always curious how people do these things. This is something that I've always wanted to do. I know of some haunted places around here, but I've never gone. So, is your guys' deal the radio show, or do you guys actually do some paranormal investigating yourselves?
So both, actually.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, Beth just got back from a weekend investigating with Ghost Hunt USA. She works there, and she does this for a living.
Oh.
I got started, it's kind of weird, the story is long and boring, but I've always been drawn to the paranormal. I had an experience when I was a child that I was very ill. I had a fever, and my parents were sitting beside me trying to bring my fever down. I remember that, and I remember having that horrible, remember the old glass thermometers with the mercury?
Yeah.
It was one of those. And I remember kind of looking up to the ceiling to my left, and there was this big ball of light up to the left, and I just had this sense of calm and peace come over me, and that stuck with me my entire life. And I've always been chasing that, that unicorn, so to speak, after that, because it just seemed like there was something else there. There was someone else there that was telling me everything is going to be okay. And, you know, we've all had our share of ghost stories in one way or another, right?
Oh, yeah,
but,
absolutely. I think that's what makes the topic in general so believable to so many people, is that they tend to know somebody who they trust who has a story for them.
Yes,
very
exactly.
true. Very true.
And Beth and I met at a Face Your Fears event that Chad Lindbergh had at the Randolph County Asylum in, Beth, where was it?
It's in Winchester, Indiana.
Winchester, Indiana. And we, ever since then, you know, it was fun to find a pal, I guess you could say, who was into the paranormal and wanted to experiment more and take it to different places. So the more that we hung out together and the more we were around each other investigating, we just thought, hey, let's talk about this. There are very few female-led paranormal investigation teams and radio shows, so why don't we do it on the radio and talk about it on the radio? And so we developed our podcast. So we do the podcast and we do investigating. And Beth?
Yeah,
I'm
we
going to turn
do
it
it all.
over to you.
We do it all.
Go ahead, Beth.
Yeah, similar to Charlotte, as a child, I didn't really know what was wrong with me or what I was, I guess you could say. I remember sitting next to my papaw and seeing the rocking chair next to him start moving, and he turned and looked at me and said, you know, don't worry about that. That's just my mother. The difference was I was 6 years old and I was able to describe what she looked like. And I'd never met her. She passed away before my mother was even born. And he drug out a picture and he said, I want you to show me which one is her. And I was able to point exactly to who she was. I didn't understand why I could see her and why I knew who she was. And that kind of continued throughout until my 20s before I started actually talking out about it and learned that there was actually other people that was dealing with that as well. And then it became a name. You know, I was a psychic. And I don't like to say psychic medium because not all the time can I actually converse with them or have them come to me or have other people's families come to me. But psychically, yes. I've dealt with that my whole life. But I have a great job. I work for Ghost Hunts USA, and we travel all over the place doing paranormal events. And, you know, we got a lot of new people that don't want to go out and rent a location on their own that's never done this before. So they come to us, we take them in there and, you know, show them how to use equipment and show them how to properly, you know, perform an investigation. And Charlotte came to me and said, you know, hey, listen, I got this idea. I want to start this dinky little podcast, something fun for us to do. I said, you know, heck yeah, let's do it. I'm all game. And that's kind of how her and I got started and where this all stemmed from. And she's my sister, and I'd travel the world with her if I had to.
Yes. So the term medium and psychic, you know, there's this great character in these Clive Barker. One of my favorite authors is Clive Barker, and he's got this great character, Harry D'Amour, who he's referred to as walking the fine line between the light and the dark. He's not necessarily referring to himself as psychic. He's just constantly walking into situations that are basically haunted or something crazy is going on and stuff like that. You know, I find the term psychic and medium to be just so encompassing that it's hard to understand how one person is dealing with or what they're seeing. So when you say that you're having these like psychic visions of ghosts, you're like physically seeing them in front of you when other people are not.
Well, yes, at times, or sometimes they'll actually just show me, you know, in my mind's eye, in my third eye, they'll show me an image. So instead of like physically seeing them standing there, then I can actually get an image of them, or they'll show me a place. You know, they've shown me a farm before, and it was actually a young girl that was speaking to me, which at first I thought I was talking with a man because I seen an image of a man in bibbed overalls standing out at a farm. but really it was a young girl talking to me about her father. It's confusing. It is confusing. Sometimes, I I have to ask people, like, are you seeing this? Do you see this? Did you see that? They're like, no. And I'm like, oh, God, because we're always our worst critics. We're always going to be our own worst critics. It's hard. It's hard to decipher between reality and my own mind. Am I playing tricks on myself, or is this really happening right now?
And
we
sorry,
were
go ahead.
in Gettysburg one time. I'd gone to a Ghost Hunt USA event with Beth, and it was the day after the investigation. We were standing on the street in front of the house. And have you ever been to Gettysburg?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place, for many reasons, but the air is just very thick there.
Yes, it is.
Rich history, a lot going on, and we were standing in front of the building. We were just having a conversation, and this gentleman in period-type clothing was walking down the street. He had one of the big, tall hats, like when you envision Abe Lincoln.
Like a
one
stovepipe
he would
hat,
wear.
Yeah.
And he's walking down the street towards us, and I turn to the side and I look. Now, I'm not the psychic. Beth is the psychic. So I turn around, I look. I'm scoping out this guy, and she turns around, she looks, and without batting an eye, he just slowly walks past us. And there were other people standing around, too. And I turned to Beth, and I said, was he real? he looked real, but he didn't. I don't know. It was hard to explain. And so we just sat there for a second staring at each other like, what just happened? And she said, go look. So I ran around the corner of the street, and he was gone. So there's a lot of people that walk around the town there who are doing tours and things like that, who dress in that period of clothing.
Right.
But, for him to just be gone like that, and for everybody on the sidewalk to stop and look at him and he not acknowledge anybody, it was very odd. To this day, that remains a question in my mind.
Yeah, and it seems like a place like Gettysburg where there's, so much.
A couple of people died there, I've heard.
Right.
Yeah.
It has a reputation for that.
But arguably, any square of land in a populated area, a lot of people have probably died there or had some sort of life experience there that they might be connected to.
Right.
True.
Dying in Gettysburg is a little different from,
Yes, I guess that.
your regular, everyday, vanilla-flavored death.
Great.
You're vanilla flavored haunting.
Yeah. You're quite the poet.
We should call it more
Thank
of a
you.
Neapolitan.
Let's see if I got a quick question for you, seeing how we're coming up on the commercial break. So, Charla, you're not what you would consider psychic or medium.
No, I think I have sensitivities to certain things, but I definitely don't have the gift that Beth does. I mean, and it's really challenging when your best friend is a psychic because she knows everything before you tell her.
Yeah, but also at the same time, when you're dealing with these ghosts, it's probably good to have,
Absolutely.
a control group.
Yeah, she's the litmus test, that's for sure.
Yeah, somebody to basically ground the situation because, we won't have time to get into this, but I'm guessing that if you're given visions and you're seeing things that maybe a more negative spirit might be able to actually trick you with some visions or show you things that are not accurate.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, we're coming up on our first commercial break here. You're listening to Girls vs. Ghosts, Beth and Charla here on Radio Wasteland. Come on back. All right. Welcome back to Radio Wasteland and our guests, Girls vs. Ghosts, Beth and Charla. This is such a, even though it's an incredibly popular topic, like we were saying, like everybody seems to know somebody at least, if not have their own story.
It's still shrouded in a lot of mystery.
Right. So it's like, what exactly do we know or feel that we know about ghosts? I mean, do we know that they're spirits of people past or, what do we really know?
Well, I think that's why we continue doing this, because we don't.
That's right.
That's the mystery of it all. There's no experts in this field, that's for sure. And, that's what we're all seeking for. in this para community, is to find out what is going on. I mean, I do have evidence. I'm sure lots of people out there have evidence of someone that's not there talking to them, or where they have video evidence of seeing things. But, you know, who honestly really knows until we're actually on the other side ourselves.
Well, I'm guessing having your own radio show that you experience what I experience, and that I have guests on that I consider to be nuts and bolts researchers, which, given your past answer, I would put you in now. and then I have the guests on that really feel like they have all the answers.
Right. Well, yeah, and there are some. There are parapsychologists. It's an emerging field. They're beginning to merge more science and paranormal as we speak. You know, we have our own experiences that we can recount, but, you know, can we say beyond a shadow of a doubt, show you a picture of us shaking hands with the spirit and them saying, "Hi, my name is Bob"? We don't have that.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily mean proof that will convince me. Right. But I mean, I just mean, like, what do we know? Or in your case, like, what do you know? Like, do you know? I don't know. It's such an abstract question, I guess.
It is.
It really is.
It's really funny. We were just talking about this last night. And, you know, Dave Abbott had brought up the 5-gram rule, that it is proven that when someone passes, that at that moment of their passing, their body is 5 grams lighter than it was when they were alive. And if you look at the, you know, air displacement and things like that, it's not as, it doesn't add up. So there's more to it than we realize. You know, if we can communicate wirelessly through bits of data on radio waves across the air, and energy is, you know, neither created nor destroyed, it's only changed, you could theorize a lot about it. But that's really all we know.
Yeah, and I agree with you. You know, you start factoring in things like string theory and fourth dimensional consciousness and all this stuff. And it really does create a world where, you know, ghosts are very possible.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
So I like to ask this of people who do the paranormal. Do you have any family members that think you're absolutely crazy?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Aside from each other, of course. That doesn't count.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm assuming that it has to do with religion, the pushback.
Absolutely. 100% right. I was blessed to where when I was growing up, my mother, my father, my brother, they all supported me. They believed in me. They trusted me. I wasn't one to make up stories. And, you know, then I do have other family members that are very religious who think I'm doing the devil's work. And, you know, we've had plenty of Thanksgiving and Christmases with, you know, some heated discussion of, you know, you can't prove me wrong. I can't prove you wrong. You know, can't we just let bygones be bygones and just let me do what I feel is right? And yeah, so yeah, you know, she thinks I'm crazy, but that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Oh yeah. And, you know, we live in a day and age where half the country thinks the other half is crazy anyway. So you're probably fitting in just fine.
I'm okay being in that 46% who does believe in spirits.
Yeah, me too. Sean and I started this as raging skeptics, you know, not to challenge our guests. We never, you know, challenge them. But, I mean, we are skeptics. But, you know, as it's
difficult to maintain that, basically.
It is difficult to maintain that when we have articulate, sober-minded guests on.
Right.
You know,
we have, I don't think they're lying. I don't think they're crazy. So what's going on here? You know, kind of thing. You start to come around.
We've had a couple that were like straight up bat crap crazy.
That's true.
But, so what does one of these investigations look like for you two? When you two go into it, is it just the two of you? And, are you relying on, your psychic skills, or are you taking technology with you?
All of the above. Sometimes, it is just Charlotte and I, and other times we do have a few other people that join us. And, you know, I have a wide range of equipment because I like using things to, you know, help document, video it and help document what's going on. And Charlotte's very good in that field as far as technology goes. I don't solely rely on my gift, but I do use it just to kind of let them know kind of what's going on. This is what I'm getting. This is what I'm picking up on. And then it's amazing when we can have an EVP that correlates to what I'm also getting. So, yeah, we kind of do all the above.
And when we do get that EVP, and then there's also a hit on a piece of equipment that lights up, and there's also some sort of mass moving across the video screen, you can tell
right
when something is intelligent versus just a fluke.
Right. So most of us out here, and I'm going to play devil's advocate, most of us out here, EVPs, we're going to go, I don't know. I don't know what that means. And most of us out here, there's going to be a drop in temperature, and we're going to be, whatever. But you get what I'm saying,
Yes.
Personally, I do get what those things mean, but have you ever gotten any really sort of worthwhile audio or video evidence?
Oh, yeah.
Because, that show Ghost Hunters, I watched like 5 seasons of that, and they got nothing.
Yes. That's true.
Yeah,
but miraculously, towards the end of them kind of fading out, they started getting stuff at every location.
Oh, well.
Stop watching too soon, Chauncey.
I guess so.
That's your problem.
Yeah, can you give me an example of maybe something that you guys have caught on film or on tape?
Absolutely. I was at a location called Poasttown Elementary School in West Middletown, Ohio, which I actually went there as an elementary student. And I actually got a full-faced apparition. It was just me and one of my friends in this room at the time, and we had a laser grid up on the wall. She had just a regular GoPro strapped to her head. It wasn't a night vision camera or anything. The light blinks red when it's recording, and I'm asking questions, have a spirit box running, SD7 spirit box, and the light flashes red, and you see this young boy's face looking towards me. And when the light flashes, he turns and looks straight at the camera. He couldn't have been more than a foot away from her, right in front of her face. And then you see him just disappear, just fade off.
And you have this on film?
I do. I have that. I'll put it up on our Girls vs. Ghosts YouTube page.
Yeah, that is great.
It's amazing. And then correlated with that at the same time, we also got an EVP where I asked, did you get in trouble whenever, you pulled girls' hair? And I got a male voice say, I'm not in trouble. So it was crazy. It was really cool. That's probably one of my better pieces that I've ever captured.
That is cool because I have a hard time when I try to look these things up on YouTube because I never know the credibility of what I'm looking at. Is this some sort of Photoshop or viral marketing attempt, or is this somebody who's really trying to share something with me?
Right.
We got a crazy picture on the Queen Mary, and one thing that Beth and I do when we walk in, and I got this from Tyler Evans, when you walk into a space, just take a few photos, almost like in a 360, snap, 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 snap as you're going around the room. And a few minutes later, take them again, and you can kind of compare the two. And I didn't initially see anything in the photos. We went on with investigation. This is the Queen Mary. We were on the Nick Groff tour, I believe it was, Beth, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And the next morning, I'm laying there, and I start just kind of going through the pictures from the night before, and I screamed at Beth to get over
literally
here.
Screamed at me.
To come in here and look at this picture. It's the craziest picture. If you look at it, you can see where the components of the picture, when you zoom into it, could potentially be pieces of the actual ship. We were down in the hull of the ship, and it's I don't know how far below sea level it is, but it's you're in an elevator to get down there, and you could see where it could be components of the ship. But then when you zoom in, it just looks like there's just like a gentleman with suspenders on, just leaning over the rail, looking at everybody.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really crazy.
That is absolutely terrifying. We're coming up on our next commercial break here, and I got to tell you, when we come back, I got my favorite question, and that is, what is the scariest thing that's ever happened to you? You're listening to Radio Wasteland. Come on back. All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland, and we're listening to, or interviewing, Girls versus Ghosts, Beth and Charlotte. So, it's my favorite question.
The moment we've all been waiting for.
I'm a horror movie fanatic.
Nice.
I'm a self-created, self-labeled horror movie historian. What's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you?
Oh, my goodness. There's a location in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee called Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. And that's the entire location is the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. It's a very dark place. The building was the hospital was built into a Indian burial ground. So boom, right there for starters,
blunder.
You're desecrating that. Yeah. That's just horrible. So, there was also a man there that, was a molester. There's just horrid history. They would actually lock their mental patients in at 6 p.m. with no, observation whatsoever. And they come back at 6 a.m. There was murders and overdoses and so on. The scariest thing that ever happened to me there is psychically seeing an old woman sitting in a wheelchair communicating with us. My coworker's using a flashlight for communication, and he said, Beth, I want you to tell me what she's going to answer before she answers. I said, fine. We have a group of people standing there. He's asking questions. I'm answering. We're getting correlating responses. Right in the middle of the questioning, she completely morphs into a wolf. Still an old lady body, wolf head. I scream, I jump. Of course, nobody else sees this but me, and they're thinking, what the hell's wrong with her? And and at that moment, I realized, okay, this is a non-human entity that I'm speaking to.
Oh.
Who's portraying herself as a little old lady. That, along with in the basement, seeing a little boy, I've got photo evidence of that as well, a little boy in this walk-in freezer who slammed the door wide open. I hi-ya karate kicked it back shut. He opened it back up, and somebody started snapping pictures, and there he was, right there in the door.
Wow.
Crazy.
And I get the voices a little confused. That was Beth telling me, right?
Yes, that was Beth. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
That's all right. Charlotte, what about you? Anything absolutely terrifying?
My story, too, goes back to Old South Pittsburgh. Different occasion. Beth wasn't there. I was in the basement with a group of people, and we were asking questions, and there was a girl beside me with her boyfriend, and they were saying this was one of their first times investigating, and she's taking pictures, and I'm just kind of watching her take pictures, and all of a sudden, her phone flips out of her hand and over her shoulder and lands on the ground behind her. And if I hadn't have been there and seen this with my own eyes, honestly, I wouldn't have believed it.
Wow.
Because I'm a skeptic too. So, but I saw it, and I just froze. I couldn't even move for a second. And not until her boyfriend said, "You're going to break your screen. What are you doing?" And I thought, okay, we're in one of the haunted locations like I've ever even been to, and you're worried about the broken screen. I'd be a little more concerned about what the heck just flipped that phone out of her hands. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I was like, at that point, I'm out.
That's some serious first world problems when you're worried about the cell phone at that point.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh my gosh, something just flipped her phone out of her hands, and you're okay.
Yeah, that is so. So both of these totally terrifying, absolutely.
Yes.
But were you in any danger? Is there any danger for people who are doing this?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. There's always some sort of danger, and it also depends on that person too. Are they provoking? Are they pushing? Are they asking for it? That's one thing I don't do. Personally, I know Charlotte doesn't either. I don't do it. You have to show respect, because if somebody walked into my house and started pounding me with questions, I'd tell them where they can go. So when I walk into their home, I show them the respect that they deserve. I've never come home with anything. I don't plan on it. But there's always that there's always that moment where you could be in danger. Absolutely. At that time, no, I didn't feel in danger. It was just scary.
Right.
At that moment, I did. That was the first time I've ever really felt fear investigating, even though there was a crowd of people around me, because at that point, I had never seen an object move.
Right.
You know, I had already been under this assumption and kind of bragged about it that, look, you know, they can't do anything to you.
Right.
They can't physically affect you. Until I saw that, and again, I wouldn't have believed it had I not been there to see it. And that's when my thinking changed dramatically, and I realized that, you know, you have to be smart about it. You shouldn't just walk in off the street if you've never done this before with a recorder and walk into an abandoned building and start investigating. That's not the way to go about it, for many reasons. But, you know, you have to protect yourself physically, intellectually, and spiritually before you go into a location. And there are things that you can bring home with you. You know, we talk about the religious aspect of it, and clearly, I think every major religion has some sort of demonic presence involved or some sort of demonic aspect of it. And if you know, don't believe in ghosts, fine, but probably should believe in demons.
Right.
Because
Well, it's
they
like
do exist.
Beth was saying about non-human entity. I assume that's what the implication was there.
Right.
Yes, something that's never lived and breathed and walked this earth.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I mean, there are scads of, you know, anecdotal reports of people interacting with demons and so forth, and winding up with major health problems, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
you don't want that.
Well, we're not too far from the end of the show here, and you guys have a new show coming out?
We do. We are so excited. Can we make our announcement?
Yes.
Do it now.
So we are, our show is moving to VideoSpace.
And so what does
So
that
this
mean
is
for it? It's going to be all video live, or? Well,
Yeah.
maybe not live.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll be editing.
Yeah, no, it'll be live. It'll be
really?
live.
Yeah.
So we'll have our talk show live, and we'll be interviewing as many people as we possibly can, and talking about the paranormal.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
So this is a big step for you guys, I assume.
Huge. Yeah, huge step for us.
Very exciting.
So, you know,
Absolutely.
thank you to Nick Ross and Elizabeth Saint for giving us that forum to express ourselves and on VideoSpace, and it's also available on Amazon Fire TV as well under the VideoSpace app. So we couldn't be more thrilled, and thank you for letting us announce it on your show.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
And before we get to the end here, how would our listeners find out more about you?
Go ahead,
You
Beth.
can go on to our Facebook page, Girls versus Ghosts Radio. Twitter, same handle, just at Girls versus Ghosts Radio. And then you can sign up and subscribe for vidi.space, which is VIDI.space. And then you can watch us there, because that's where we're going to be going from now on. We're super excited.
Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I really appreciate having you guys on the show. It's been a lot of fun and,
Thank you.
you know, very informative. And in fact, you know, I could have picked your brain all night about non-human entities and scary stuff. So
Yeah.
so we'll have to do it
We
again
would love to
sometime.
come back on anytime you would have us.
Sounds great.
Absolutely.
All right, you've been listening to Girls versus Ghosts.
Beth and Charlotte here on Radio Wasteland. Check us out next time. All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland. You've been listening to us interview Girls versus Ghosts. That's Beth and Charlotte. But I guess that's changing from blogtalkradio.com to vid.space
Yeah.
because they're going all video.
Yes. And we were the lucky recipients of that announcement.
Of that breaking news.
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
So all of the followers who want to know where they're going to be able to see Beth and Charlotte now are
Yeah,
gonna
maybe
be listening
we
to our
need to go
show.
all video. I'll be the brains and you can be the eye candy.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, let's do it.
Here, if you put it like that, I'll be the eye candy.
Yeah. I am susceptible to flattery.
I'm personally like, I like the idea of being anonymously famous.
Yeah, me too.
Do you want the world to know who you
No,
are?
I don't want people to know what I look like.
You know?
No, I just want to be the weird voice that tells people what to do.
Is it because of that big old thing on the side of your lip?
Well, it's not that big. It's not visible.
Is there really something there? I was joking.
No, I was also joking.
Yeah.
Or were we? You know, our listeners don't know.
You'll never know. Yeah,
exactly.
Got a face for radio.
Yeah.
So
they're barnacles, not
barnacles. I found out a barnacle is a crustacean, not a bivalve.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, I thought
it's like having little lobsters on your face.
Yeah. I thought it was a.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Crazy. All right, so let's get to the point here. The point is,
you've been listening to Crustacean Radio.
Yeah, girls versus ghosts. You know, what do you?
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think you're definitely right. We could have continued to talk to them for a few more hours at least. It was very informative.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
They clearly had a lot of experience. And
yeah, and it's interesting what the one girl did, Beth. I think she was part of another group that sort of helped paranormal groups get started.
Yeah, they're the real deal.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Right.
Pretty cool idea. We need to fly them out here and have them help us get started.
Yeah.
So we're not walking down some shady road in Bernie by ourselves at 2 a.m.
It wasn't at 2 a.m. I think the problem, actually, and why I didn't encounter anything was I didn't go late enough.
How late was it?
Oh, it was like 7, 8 in the evening. Not that late.
But dark.
Yeah.
7 or 8, yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Ghosts. Yeah, they're just getting off work.
Right. I was getting off work. I was trying to fit, some light paranormal investigation into my, difficult schedule.
I would definitely like us to do some paranormal investigation, but it's expensive, all these little trinkets and all these little knickknacks.
And there's not as much haunted stuff around here as you'd think.
Well, I mean, people die everywhere.
Well, I know, but I think the circumstances make some difference.
Can't we go to an old folks home or
maybe? I think it's
or a hospital or surely there were some.
I just haven't heard about that much haunted activity in Reading, which surprises me. It should surprise anyone who's been to Reading because you'd think it would be super haunted up here.
Yeah, it's pretty rednecky around here. You think there'd be some brutal racist killings or something?
Right, it's the country. We've got a high crime rate. We do. We've got a terrible economy.
Totally.
So it's like, there's plenty of human misery and suffering.
Totally.
That oughta,
produce something of value. Right, yeah.
Yeah, fertilize some undead shenanigans, but I don't know. It's really not.
So, you're not much of a movie fan, but it definitely cracked me up when she said she saw a full-face apparition, and I'm all, yeah, she's using Ghostbusters terms. It's like, so I wanted to call her out.
I think Ghostbusters might have gotten it from Ghost
I don't
Hunters.
know, man. There wasn't much going on back in the 80s, If they did, they got it from Tobin's Spirit Guide, which they invented.
Yeah, maybe so.
So I'm wondering how much Ghostbusters has actually influenced.
Right. But a lot of that stuff, like Ghostbusters didn't make up ectoplasm. They didn't make up orbs. They didn't make up apparitions. And they didn't make up the idea of people running around with, technology trying to deal with ghosts. That was all.
Just the laser beams.
Pre-existing. Yeah, they didn't mention anything about proton packs. That was probably an oversight in our questioning.
All right, so now's a good time to go to commercial. The question that we will leave you with here is, as we go to commercial, how much do you think that the Ghostbusters movie affected ghost busting, ghost hunting? Or is this life imitating art or art imitating life? You're listening to Radio Wasteland. When we come back, we got some news. All right, welcome back to Radio Wasteland, and it's news time. Sean, you got anything for us?
Yeah. I tried valiantly to find anything related to ghosts for this week, but not a peep. So, unfortunately, I have to talk about something else.
Well, the goal here is to get some news, whatever.
Well, that's quite right. I want to make it topical. I try to do that, but the world of creepy, crawly things that go bump in the night, not always cooperative.
Well, I appreciate your showmanship,
right.
But,
So here I am with some news about pandemics.
Oh, that's good.
All
right.
Scary too. Okay, so you know about bird flu, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know of it. How about swine flu?
Yes.
Everyone knows of swine flu. Yeah. So those are kind of the two common things, stay away from birds, stay away from pigs. You're all good. Now we've got a new paper, dog flu.
Oh, no.
Right, yeah. I'm sure many of our listeners just screamed in frustration and
Yeah,
hurled
no,
the
that's
radio
terrible.
across the room.
Is it kennel cough?
No, to be fair, what this is a study that revealed that there's a new variant of canine flu. Because, of course, dogs have always gotten the flu. Everything gets the flu.
Right.
But for whatever reason, it's less likely to mutate in such a way that it jumps from dogs to people than, say, swine flu or bird flu, which is already relatively unlikely. But they've discovered a new strain of canine flu which shares a number of genes in common with H1N1, which has got people thinking, this could potentially be much more communicable. And it's, even though the risk is still relatively low, it's something to keep an eye on, and it raises interesting questions. The preferred way to deal with populations of birds and or swine that have been infected with a potentially deadly to humans disease is by eradication of the animals in question. I imagine that would not be a popular option.
Yeah, fried chicken and bacon.
Right.
That is the preferred method of...
Problem solved.
Right, yeah.
Unless you're dealing with pigeons or whatever, but, who knows when it's breaded and fried.
Yeah, it all tastes the same. It all tastes the same.
That's right. But, I don't think dog owners are likely to go for that, unfortunately.
No, actually, I guess it's illegal. My daughter tells me it's illegal to eat a horse. Because it's like...
I'm not talking about eating your dogs. I'm talking about...
Right. Okay, so there haven't been any cases of this yet.
No, there haven't.
But
it's
what they're
been
doing...
a study of the genetics of the virus.
Right, so what they're noticing is, this has mutated in a way that it's become all the closer to potentially hopping to us.
Yeah, so something a lot of people don't really realize about these things is viruses and bacteria and so forth, they're designed to infect a specific species. And when they do, neither party really notices. It's a symbiotic relationship. You only get problems when something hops from one species to another, and then the biology doesn't quite match up. And, that's where you get into people dying of the disease. Why would you want that? Why would the host want, or why would the virus want its host to die?
Right, exactly.
It doesn't.
Yeah, life wants to continue. So, it's
so exactly. That's the kind of just, bad luck of the draw mutation they're worried about, because these creatures are tiny. They reproduce incredibly quickly. So mutations can happen pretty quickly.
Wish I had known this for the conversation with Cameron Carlson, man.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
About surviving the zombie apocalypse.
Right.
Because, statistically...
Unfortunately, the study hadn't come out then.
Yeah, statistically, we're overdue for some major, major catastrophes.
Oh, sure. And, I think, the developed world probably do pretty well with it. Massive earthquake,
Right.
Probably do pretty well with, a meteor impact if it wasn't too huge.
Pretty well, relatively, yeah.
Right. But I don't think we've ever been more vulnerable to pandemics. Any strides we've made in medicine are just completely wiped out by the fact that there's a zillion of us and we're all waiting in airports all day.
Right.
Well, not all of us, but you know what I mean.
Enough of us. Yeah, enough of us. What do you feel about vaccinations? Are you?
Oh, I'm pro-vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
I got all my vaccinations. I always get the flu shot, except for this last year when I couldn't be bothered and got the flu in the first time in 7 years. So
right.
Yeah, doctors say to get vaccinations. I don't tell airline pilots how to land their airplanes. I don't tell doctors how to do medicine. So I figure.
Well, we don't really live in that. We don't really live in that world. We live in a world now where everybody's figuring out their own health online, where everybody has an opinion about.
I think that's terrible.
Us having 12 troops in some African country that I don't even remember. You know, I mean, everybody's got all sorts of opinions now.
Yeah.
You know, but I kind of agree with you. We just need to get people in there because...
Right. If I have an opinion, I want it to not be my opinion, but the opinion I've gotten from an expert I trust.
Right. The wealth of human knowledge is just way too big for me to have an opinion on all of these things.
Exactly.
I just can't. You know, I'm too busy raising kids and keeping this economy going. Frankly.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right.
I can have a couple of things that I'm interested in, and then you can have some other different things that you're interested in, and then we can speak up in our little groups because we're sort of the beginnings of experts. But now everybody's like got sort of like armchair knowledge of like everything and thinks they're an expert on everything, you know?
Right. Well, to be fair, I think that a lot of that's just like, you know, you want to get opinions from an expert you trust, but there's a lot of people who aren't experts, but who are much more articulate than the experts.
Right, and there's a big government and corporations that we don't know if we can trust.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's tough.
So if it does go viral,
right?
Do you have a dog?
No,
you don't have a dog.
I don't have a dog. I'm fine. You have a dog, right?
I do have a dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's down. He's out. You know. Yeah.
Getting rid of him as soon as you get home. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm just going to throw him out on the front porch. You know, when I was a young man living a questionable lifestyle of drugs and way too many roommates, we all lived in this like apartment. And my buddy Chris's girlfriend had a cat, but she didn't do anything with this cat, and it just crapped all over the house and pissed all over the house and was just an unholy terror. And so my friend Chad created this sign that explained to the cat why it wasn't allowed back in the house because it poops in the house. And then it had a picture that he had drawn of the cat taking a poop with a big no bozo sign around it. And he hucked the cat out on the front porch and then stuck the sign to like the bottom of the front door and then just closed the door one day when she was at work and felt that he had done his duty by explaining to the cat why it was no longer allowed in the house.
That seems foolproof.
Yeah. Seems fair.
Yeah.
I tried to explain to him that the cat might find the sign confusing.
He tried.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what I'd do, you know.
Right.
I mean,
well, to be fair,
I guess I'd get rid of the dog. I mean, what choice would I have? You know,
to be
I have
fair,
kids
in a
and
pandemic situation, you wouldn't really need to be worried about the dog so much as other people. You know, the dog gets the whole thing started, but it's just the match that lights the fire.
Oh, right. Like the Ebola dog.
Exactly.
Like the Ebola monkey from Outbreak.
Right.
Right.
Or like the actual monkey from AIDS.
That's not real.
That's not real?
No.
Do I not? Okay.
Is there really an AIDS monkey?
I thought there was.
No, man.
Okay.
I think you just said something horribly, like, potentially very racist.
Did I?
Not racist, but bigoted.
Okay, I thought there was an actual
You're conveying
monkey.
Actual bigoted information. Luckily.
Dang it.
You know, we're on conservative radio, so it's probably going to be fine.
Yeah, okay. It's all good.
But no, the initial thing that they were saying was that they thought that AIDS came from people having sex with monkeys.
I thought that was actually correct.
I don't think it is.
Oh, okay.
But it might be.
I don't know. People are weird.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that's happened. I'm sure.
I mean, I've heard that and I was like, okay, sounds plausible.
I'm sure that there's been some serious monkey loving going on.
Okay, well, sorry. I didn't know that.
All right,
I'm not an expert.
All right. I just heard the other day, and I wish I remembered where I heard this from, that somewhere back, scientists actually made a humanzee.
What?
By breeding a woman and a chimp.
Wait, that happened?
I read it, and it was a credible source. I read it in, and I can't remember it now.
I mean, there was a Radiolab thing, like they were thinking about it, but...
Yeah, I don't know. So that's going to be my question to the audience. Was there ever a humanzee?
Yeah.
All right.
We need to know this.
You're listening to Radio Wasteland. Thanks for checking us out.